Joining me now, Fred Fleitz, Senior Vice President at the Center for Security Policy, former Chief of Staff to Ambassador John Bolton. And Fred, good to see you. Let's start with North Korea. And North Korea now establishing that they have a delivery system in this ICBM for the first time today, reaching 2,800 miles up into space. They are now armed and fully dangerous to every part of the United States. What's your reaction?
Well, what I was sort of surprised by, Lou, maybe I shouldn't say I was surprised by, how President Trump's critics are trying to say that this development means his policy is failing, his efforts to pressure North Korea is failing. That's not the way I see it. The president inherited an almost impossible situation.
Let's be very straightforward about that because of the way you postured. I don't want there to be any misunderstanding. His critics are scurrilous cowards who failed to do their duty to rein in
exactly
the Kim family as they kept moving forward with a nuclear ambition.
That's right. He inherited a very difficult problem. He is in the first phase of a rational approach to the threat from North Korea. And I'm with you, Lou. I don't have very high prospects, very high expectations for sanctions. But if sanctions are going to work, they're going to take time. Now, the president
we don't have time. Well, we now have estimates of time for delivery of this system from South Korea and their intelligence of the end of this year, not next year, not early next year, but by the end of this year, and the pace with which we are watching their ballistic missiles being launched and the performance of those missiles, I personally don't doubt it whatsoever. I can't make a judgment about the miniaturization and the effectiveness of the nuclear warheads that they're obviously developing, but the delivery system seems to be moving apace.
I think that's right. I think sanctions are worth trying. I don't think they're going to work. I think the president is going to transition to a different approach. He's going to have to think about how to ratchet up military pressure against North Korea, possibly shooting down missiles, possibly a military embargo. I think it has to be done carefully, and I think the president's done the right thing to try to get nations in the region behind the United States before he takes that step.
And he's done that, and he's made it very clear, and he has the support of Europe. It even seems from time to time that he has the support of President Xi. It's uncertain, it's vague, and it's not what would be most desirable, and that is an open and concerted effort among Russia, China, and the United States, as well as Europe. But we are no longer in a position where that we're talking about hypotheticals, abstractions. This is a clear and present threat to the security of the United States and, frankly, every country in the world.
I think that's right. I actually think there has been progress with China. Last week, China shut off its main road into North Korea that's used for trade.
Yes.
It cut off flights between Air China and North Korea. These are significant steps. And look, I'm with you. I don't think sanctions are going to work, but we have to go down this road before we begin ratcheting up military pressure.
Well, I would say with only in response to that, depending upon the timetable, the reality of the delivery of potentially the reality of a nuclear warhead on one of those ICBMs against the United States or its allies. Fred, I want to end with one question. I am watching Hillary Clinton now playing shadow to President Trump in Beijing. We are about to watch former President Obama do the same thing, follow just as he did President Trump and on his itinerary in May. Fred, at what point does this president have to pick up a phone and say, we're going to consider it an unfriendly act if you continue to give audience to these folks who are obviously subversive of American interests?
I think you're right. This is just shameful. These people have no class.
This is ignorance beyond belief.
If the Republicans had done this to President Obama, the New York Times would have a front-page headline condemning them. It's just outrageous.
What should he do?
Now, I think you're right. I think we should make a statement. He should send a signal to various foreign leaders that this would be considered an unfriendly act. And I think the president has to be more outspoken in this country about these activities by Mr. Obama and by Secretary Clinton.
And how about Leandra English, for crying out loud, and Richard Cardray? Aren't they cute? I mean, they're objectionable in their superciliousness. their absurdity as individuals. And obviously, they hold the government in trivial regard. I would love to see the president bring in all of the U.S. Marshals and escort all of these damn fools out of Washington.
This is the swamp, Lou. This is the swamp.
You got it, Fred. Thanks so much.
Good to be here.
Fred Fleitz.